On the other side of a storm is the strength that comes from navigating through it. Raise your sail and begin. Just because you're struggling doesn't mean that you're failing. I think sometimes people equate struggling with failure. It's not. It isn't even close. In fact, if you're struggling, it tells me that you're still in the game. We don't see these incredible opportunities first, because every opportunity that you and I have is surrounded by a problem. I've never gone to an opportunity that I didn't have to go to the door of problems first. So the next time you have an obstacle, a difficulty, an adversity in your life, don't allow the crisis to numb you. Be alive, learn, feel, fail, learn. That's what it's all about if you want to make this difficult time a good time. I just want you to know that there's a hero within you. I know there is. And during this tough time, let the hero out. Let people see the best of you, your highest aspirations. You be the one who's the lifter and the encourager.
Hi, Mark Cole here. In the 20 years that I have been working alongside John Maxwell, we have never seen a time as critical as this for values-based, people-centered leadership. John Maxwell says that crisis separates pretenders from players. Always has, always will. That's the purpose of the Leadership When It Matters the Most series. John Maxwell has felt that in a time like this, that we need to be offering value and extending opportunity for people that want to make a difference. You see, crisis requires leadership that gives context, leadership that will step up and lead when others won't. Now, our goal is today in this time, as you spend a little time with us, that we add value to you so that you will multiply value to others. I hope that over the next few minutes, as John Maxwell shares a lesson that he has prepared for you right now, leadership when it matters the most, that you will take note, that you will take hope, and that you will take charge. Today is the day that in this crisis, you can make a significant difference. Now, it's my pleasure to bring to you John C. Maxwell.
Hi, John Maxwell here. I'm so excited that we can spend a little time together. And this series, Leadership When It Matters Most, just seems to be such an important time that you and I spend together, because right now we're going through some very difficult, dark times. And I consider it a real privilege and honor, an opportunity for me to come to you and maybe say some words that will give you some guidance, some help, lift you up a little bit, and certainly be an asset to you as you have to get yourself through these tough times. You have to get your family through these tough times, some of your friends. Some of you have companies, organizations, teams. And so sometimes it seems like in tough times, we need a message of hope. We need a message of reality that helps us to know how to go and where to go and when to go. So I just want you to know that I'm very excited about our time together. And what I want to talk to you about now is to embrace the benefits of uncertainty. Let me talk to you about uncertainty today. You know, if you and I go to the airport and, we're going to catch our flight and we get there and we find out it's going to be delayed. Now, that's happened to every one of us many, many times. Let's say we have another connecting flight to get to our destination. Our first thought when our flight's delayed is we say, oh my gosh, I hope I don't miss my connecting flight. So now we're in a little bit of a world of uncertainty. Will my flight take off on time so I can make the connecting flight? And we begin to think in this world of uncertainty. It causes us to be a little bit stressful, a little bit uneasy. And we keep watching that board. And the longer we don't get an announcement, the more we kind of look at our watch. We're uncertain. I mean, uncertainty creates stress. And then all of a sudden on the board, We look up there, now we see the real time that the plane's going to leave. And hey, it's going to leave even later than we thought. And now we know something. What we know is we're not going to make our connecting flight. I give you that simple illustration because it's happened to every one of us, but here's why I give you that simple illustration. Most people feel less stress with bad news than with uncertainty. Because with bad news, I can now go do something about it. I can now make a plan. I can now look at the other alternatives. You see, uncertainty just keeps us hanging. It's almost like a trapeze artist between, as they're going from one bar to the other, and they're just suspended in air, and basically they're hanging. And I just want you to know that the reason that many people are insecure at this time is not because we're in a crisis and they're getting bad news. Well, that's definitely going to hurt. But it's because they don't know what's happening. They don't know what's going to happen. In the last 3 days, I have read 18 articles about the coronavirus and leadership connected. And they all had only one thing in common, and that is not one article had anybody that knew for certain when this was going to be over, or how many people were going to die, or what the financial effects were going to be to you and to me and to all of us because we've gone through it. You see, uncertainty is full in the air during this crisis time. So how can I help you this week? Well, I'm thinking about uncertainty, and I would like to talk to you about how to embrace and even benefit from the uncertainty. I'm going to give you some things that will just kind of help you during this suspended time, okay? So let's get going. Uncertainty, number one, takes us out of automatic. You see, what we really like is we like our life on automatic. That's one of the values of habits, good habits. Good habits, we can go do things and we really don't have to think about them and just kind of cut through it quickly. And automatic is a good thing. Most of us really like our day just to kind of be automatic. When I think of automatic, I think of what it likes. It likes order. It likes things to be natural. It's full of automatic is full of assumptions. Automatic loves predictable, enjoys comfort, embraces certainty. That's what automatic looks like. A crisis is exactly opposite of automatic. Total opposite. You see, a crisis is a wake-up call, and it wakes us up out of automatic. One of the reasons I wrote my book several years ago on intentional living was because it was a book that I wanted to help people get out of automatic, to be intentional in their actions and their thoughts, so that they could maximize them. Because let me tell you something about automatic. Although we love automatic, you and I don't maximize anything when we're on automatic. The reason? We're not paying attention. We're just let it go as it always has gone. And so therefore, when we're on automatic, we lack awareness, we lack intuition. Automatic removes all of that. And so we have to understand that we have to shift from automatic to intentional. And the moment that we begin to become intentional in our thinking, we go back to what I always teach, and you've seen me teach it before. I'm going to just share it with you again real quickly. Everything worthwhile is uphill. And the reason I love that statement is because it's not only true, but it doesn't allow you to be on automatic. A crisis, the difference is that everything worthwhile is uphill, and this is what uphill looks like in good times. It's all uphill still, even in good times. Here's what uphill looks like in a crisis. It's just a steeper hill. And what you and I have to understand and embrace is the only way that we can have this wake-up call to get us out of automatic, that we can excel through this crisis, is to become very intentional in our thoughts, in our actions, not accept our life, but to begin to lead our life. Let me give you a quick example of having a wake-up call out of automatic. When I was 51, I had a heart attack. And I can tell you that was a wake-up call out of automatic because I was on a good path. Things were going well. In fact, hey, the night I had the heart attack, I was going to the Christmas party of my company's. 'Tis the season to be jolly. I was going to be with people I loved, and we were going to enjoy each other and salute the success we had. I was on automatic, and I had a heart attack. Now that wake-up call shifted how I thought. In fact, I wrote this down because I don't want you to miss it. When I had the heart attack, one of the things I quickly, in my wake-up call, realized was that I had to live in the moment now, because it's all I have. No longer did I ever assume I had a day I didn't maybe have. When I had that heart attack, the wake-up call for me to get me out of automatic was the fact that I not only had to live in the moment, but I had to fulfill my purpose. I was born for a reason. Get on it, John. You're getting another chance. That wake-up call that I had told me that I was going to have to be intentional, just what I'm talking to you about right now. I had to be intentional so that I could maximize my life and getting out of that automatic. That wake-up call also shared with me that I had to be grateful. Just be grateful, because there's no guarantee of tomorrow. I embraced each day after my heart attack much more than I embraced it before. Now, what am I talking about? That's what a crisis does. And I'm talking to you about how to embrace the benefits of uncertainty. Number one, uncertainty takes us out of automatic, and that's a good thing. Number two, uncertainty provides us leadership opportunities. It's leadership time. It's leadership time. Trust me. And guess what? There's not a time now, no more better than right now, when people want to be led. During the crisis, people look around and say, where's the leader? Where's the leader? I want to follow somebody. It's leadership time. You see, here's what I want you to understand. The people want it, and the leaders love it. They love it. I'm very sad because we're in a crisis, but I can tell you there's something within me that is alive during a crisis. And as I'm having the privilege like this right now, speaking to you, it just brings the best out of me, because I just know that maybe you need me now more than you've ever needed me. And maybe the message I have, you need more than you ever needed any message that I have. And so when speaking in a crisis, guess what people want? People want security. They want guidance. They want authenticity. They want understanding. They want care. They want help. They want hope. They want answers. They want consistency. They want involvement. They want visual assurance. And in a crisis, we who are leaders get to give that to people. And in that crisis is where that problem is. But the issue is, every problem, every opportunity is surrounded by a problem. You never see an opportunity alone. You see the problem, not the opportunity. You have to literally get through the problem to get to the opportunity. And guess what? During this crisis, all we see is problems. But let me tell you something. In every problem we see, if we can get through it, if we can get to it and through it, guess what? Inside that, that's where the opportunity is. And I don't want you to miss it. So we are surrounded by visual problems. Hang on, don't miss this. We are surrounded by visual problems with hidden opportunities. I either look at the visual problem and shy away from it and say, oh my gosh, I don't want to go there. Or I look at the visual problem and say, I'm going to go there. Inside of there is a way to have a breakthrough. I know it is. There is always an answer. I don't want you to miss the opportunity, because it's all around us. It just looks like problems right now. Because let me tell you something. When you miss an opportunity, somebody will find it. So I love it when people say, well, I lost that opportunity. I said, oh, don't worry, somebody found it. But I want you to find it. That's why we have these times together. I want you to see the problems around you have within them the seed of opportunity. In fact, take a moment and just call a time out for yourself and ask yourself this one question. What opportunity is around me right now? Look around. What opportunities around me? Now, when you look around, you see the problem. So which problem do you want to pick that has the opportunity within it? My friend Chuck Swindoll said, we are faced with a series of opportunities brilliantly disguised as impossible solutions. That's where we live right now. So embrace these benefits of crisis and adversity because it provides leadership opportunities for us. It takes us out of automatic. Number 3, it keeps us focused on today. You see, we're all uncertain about the future. The only thing that's real clear to us right now is today. I mean, let's put this right. You and I can't Google COVID-19 right now and ask when it's going to disappear. It's not going to give you the answer. So because of this uncertainty, what leaders realize is that their best work is going to be taking care of today very well. And Mark Cole, CEO of all our John Maxwell Enterprise, Mark understands that so well. And he and I have had many conversations about that. And Mark is saying to me, because I love it, because I've mentored him and he understands the focus on the day. What do we do? What's Mark trying to do right now? What am I trying to do? What do you need to try to do? Very simple. Take care of your people, take care of your clients, and take care of yourself. Now, you say, is that all I've got to do? No, I didn't say that. But I'm saying you got to do that every day. This is where we focus on today. In fact, every evening I'm asking myself this question: did I lead well today? Because today's the only day I've got. And today has a crisis. Unless I'm missing it, this day wasn't void of a crisis. We didn't have a break in it. I mean, it didn't all of a sudden say, okay, today's going to be an easy, more automatic day. No, today's got a crisis. So I asked myself in the evening, did I lead well today? And I asked myself another question, just personal: did I live well today? Did I lead well and did I live well? Because let me tell you something. Hang on. Here we go. If I prepare well today, I won't have to repair tomorrow. Don't miss it. If I prepare well today, I won't have to repair tomorrow. The other truth is, if I don't prepare today, I will repair tomorrow. So the clarity is now. And by the way, everything around us is changing. That's what a crisis does. And so in the midst of this change, guess what I have? I have the gift of the day and I have the gift of time. In my life, this may not be true in your life. In my life, I have more time to do things than I've ever had before because much of my responsibilities were cleared when this crisis came. So the question is not, do I have time? The question is, am I utilizing that time? Am I focusing today? And am I making myself better? Am I taking the gift of time I have? Am I maximizing it for my people? Am I maximizing it for you? Am I maximizing it for myself? You say, the question is, did I build in the crisis or did I get buried by the crisis? It's your call. Here's what I know. Taking care today will help you build during the crisis. Number 4, one of the advantages and benefits of having uncertainty in our life is that it reintroduces us, and I love this word, reintroduce. It reintroduces us to humility. Now, maybe you are better than I, and maybe you don't need this, but I have a tendency to kind of work in my own strength. And when things are going good, I'm not a reliant person. In fact, one of my struggles in my early struggles of faith was that I had a tendency to rely on myself more than I relied on God. And if I saw it, I just did it and off I went. And so with the process of self-reliance, slowly humility ebbs out of that. Because humility is an awareness that life is bigger than us and we can't successfully handle life without the help of others in my world, without the help of God. And so one of the great things that uncertainty happens in my life is that it reintroduces, it gets me back to where I need to be in the area of humility. And why humility is the number one virtue, I think, of all. And why is it the number one virtue? I can tell you why. It reduces pride. It makes us teachable, relatable, civil, approachable, selfless. Now let's understand what humility is. Humility doesn't mean that we think less of ourselves. It does mean that we think of ourselves less. There's a difference. So I'm not talking about being a self-depreciating person. We don't need that. But it does mean that instead of me thinking a lot of myself, I began to think a lot of others. You see, humility is the bridge between success, what I've done for me, and significance, what I intentionally want to do for others. And I can tell you, when we're in uncertainty, we don't have answers. It takes the bravo out of leadership. It takes well, come to me, here, follow me. You know what? When we raise our hands during a crisis of uncertainty and say, follow me, to be honest with you, we're going where we haven't gone either. So we need help. We need help from you and each of the people on the team. We need help from God. So uncertainty reintroduces you, to humility. Number 5, uncertainty requires us to be creative. It requires you and me to look around and say, okay, I'm going to have to think of some new things here, because what is normal is no longer normal. Now, the characteristic, because I teach this all the time, of creative people is that they believe there is always an answer. Trust me, that keeps you in the creative game. If I believe there's always an answer, I stay in the creative game. If I don't think there's an answer, why play the game? So the tenacity, which is needed in a crisis and uncertainty, the ability to follow through, all of that is based upon, I know there's an answer. Remove that from the picture, and I lose my stamina. I lose my resilience. You do it. There is always an answer is the driving force of a creative person. And a crisis, what does a crisis do? Uncertainty, it squeezes that creativity out of us. So here's what I showed you. In the best of times, when there's no crisis, in the best of times, when I'm talking to people about creativity, I give them an expression that you already know. You've heard it thousands of times. The expression is, get out of the box. Get out of the box. Now, that's in good times, because the box isn't where we need to be. The box may give you security. The box may give you the familiar, but the box isn't where tomorrow is, and it's not where your potential is. You got to get out of the box. That's in good times. In a crisis, in times of uncertainty, blow up the box. It's a whole new day. You don't even have a box. Wow. So what happens? When you blow up the box, you can't go back to that secure environment that you know. You can't go back to what has always been done. A beautiful illustration of that is, again, when the coronavirus came, and Mark and I, and we were over in Israel with some of our key players, and Mark is having to lead from Israel with his team over here, and then the coaches around the world. And I just so admired how he every day stayed in the game, and I was just there to serve him, and I didn't need to butt in, but almost every day he'd come over to me and he'd bounce off kind of what he was thinking, and I would just love on him and do my best to mentoring and help him just do this whole process. Okay. And so, finally I could remember the day where I could tell you where I could share where we were standing outside of the hotel in Israel when he looked at me and said, I'm going to have to cancel the conference for coaches. 3,500 coaches were going to come to this conference. It's a rallying time for the tribe. It's the highlight of the year. We do it twice a year, but it's a highlight. This is where we gather together and I just encourage one another and stay focused on our mission. He said, I'm going to have to, we're just going to cancel. I said, good call. And you know why he did it? It was best for the people. He put the people first. So then he comes to me and says, I got an idea, John. I'll tell you what, We'll cancel the physical conference, but let's go online and through social media and virtual. Let's have our conference. And guess what? We can go from 3,500 coaches, which are basically new coaches who have just joined us, to 33,000 coaches. We can include all of our coaches around the world. Guess what? Because we're going to go online, we can expand. Now watch how creativity works. You see, the crisis creates the opportunity to be creative. So now all of a sudden we go from one place, one group of people, 3,500 potential, to 34,000 potential around the world. And then Mark comes back to him and says, John, I'll tell you what we're going to do with your section. We'll still be online with our coaches and equip them and do the things that we need to do with them. But let me tell you what we're going to do. We're just going to put you out on all social media. Your message needs to be heard by everyone, not just our coaching team. And so we're going to put you out there. And so we went from 3,500 to 33,000 to 1 million. And it's much more than 1 million now because it's gone viral. That's what a crisis does. It gets us out of the box. It's the difference between a good coach and a great coach. All good coaches have a pre-game plan, but only the great coaches make good halftime adjustments. And you win the game in the second half. It's the halftime adjustments, the crisis, what we're going through right now, what we're experiencing. It's the halftime adjustments that bring your team to victory. And I'm just going to say this because we're talking about creativity. When we talk about we're not going to go back to normal, there's going to be a new normal. I can tell you, I can already start to see some things just pop up above this crisis. This is going to change. Education's going to change. All the online work that kids are doing, they've never done this much online work, and they've never done this much online work in a long period of time. You develop a habit in 30 to 60 days. Can I tell you something? There's kids online right now and saying, you know what? I don't think I need to go back to the university. I think I can finish my degree right here. It's a lot cheaper. I'm home. Whoa. It's going to change. Work at home, businesses. There are people today, they're working at home and they're thinking, you know what? In cities, that's an hour and a half commute that I make every day one way. 2-3 hours maybe lost in a commute. I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if I could do this at home. Now, businesses are going to say, do we need the office space we need? Colleges and schools are going to say, do we need all the facilities that we have? I just gave you a tip of the iceberg, but what's happening? The crisis and uncertainty is giving us a different way to live, which out of it comes creativity until some of the things, not all the things, but some of the things, changes we have, we're going to be better on the other side because we had the crisis, because it's just going to give us a new way of thinking and a new way of doing. Okay, one more advantage and benefit of uncertainty. Number 6, it tests our teaching. It tests my teaching. Here's what I mean. As a leader, I'm constantly teaching, and I'm giving people words. I'm writing books. I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm giving you words, and in good times, words come very quickly, easily, and cheaply. But in a crisis, we find out if there's a gap between the leader's words and the leader's actions, because you see, the crisis is not a teaching forum now, it's a living forum. And all of a sudden, what I taught when things are going well have to have the pressure and the heat and the fire of things when they aren't going well to see if what I taught is what I live, because all great leaders, what they teach is what they live. You can't separate the two of them. So there's a gap. Many times crisis has a gap of, here's what I said in good times, here's how I live in bad times. This is the principles I taught in good times, but now that the bad times are here, boy, this is what I find myself migrating to. And so, for example, in leadership, what do we teach? People first. We add value to people. That's who we are. That's what we do. We are people of value who add value to people. That's who we are. So when the crisis comes, we ask ourselves, we find out, are we really people first, or are we me first? Are we looking for ways to escape and not have much harm to us. And well, I'm so sorry about those people. One of the things I so admire about Mark as I've watched him is he's constantly said people first. People first. We're losing money. It's not good. People first. People first. We're not able to hold on to some of the things. People first. People first. You see, uncertainty tests our words. And if our words and our actions come together during a crisis, guess what? That's where we get moral authority. When we get through it, the people say, okay, I heard him in the good times, but I watched him in the bad times. And they're congruent. They're compatible. He is who he says he is. She is who she says she is. Okay. Can I have, 6 more minutes with you? There's just one other add-on, and I know I could stop now, but I don't want to stop quite yet, because I feel that I'm helping you. Because as I think of what I've taught about how embrace the benefits of uncertainty, let me just take you a little farther, just wrapping this up. Give me just a few more minutes. So let me share with you what leaders have to offer people during times of uncertainty. Because there's really no playbook to pick up as a leader and say, here's what you offer to people when things are uncertain. So let me give them to you. And these are just personal. They're kind of easy. Here's what's beautiful. Everything I'm going to share with you right now, you can do for your people. You can do this for your family, your friends, your team. Okay, here we go. Offer, number one, continual hope. It's just the fuel that gets people through the day, okay? And let me just say, this hope, let me define this maybe differently than any time I've talked to you during this crisis time. What I want you to do is I want you to take reality, what is, and I want you to surround it by hope. Reality is the core of what you have to deal with, but hope is what keeps people going. James Stockdale, when he was the highest enlisted officer that was in the Vietnam War, a prisoner of war. And when he came through it, they interviewed him and they asked him how he made it through it. And he said something that was very interesting. He said, some people made it, some people didn't make it. He said, the people that were pessimistic, of course, didn't make it. He said, the people that are optimistic stayed longer and hung in there longer, but they didn't make it either. He said, the ones of us that made it, the optimists said, wow, we're in prison, but boy, by Thanksgiving, they'll come and rescue us. So, well, it didn't happen. Oh, by Christmas, they'll come and rescue us. Well, by my birthday, they're going to come. And they kept setting a date of relief and optimistically without any sense of realism too. And they kept getting disappointed, finally they gave up. And Stockstill said very simply, he said, every day I realized it was tough. I didn't like it. I had no idea how long it would go. So I realistically said, this could be a long time. But he also said, but my optimism said, but we will be delivered. So his optimism allowed him to have realism that gave him tenacity to get through. That's the kind of hope you want to provide for your people. Number two, give them grace and compassion. During a crisis, during uncertainty, everybody needs a break. You just got to give people a break. Here's what I know about you, about me, about all of us. Most of us are not our best under stress. And so as a leader, when I see stress come into a person's life, most of the time, I'll say to myself, they won't be operating at their best level right now. And I consider that, and I give them a break. I give them compassion and grace. I extend that to them. By the way, I do think one of the differences between leaders and followers is I do think that during the crisis for leaders, it brings out their best. So I believe that for leaders, stress makes them better. But for most people, and we're talking about most people, our families, people we lead, give them a break. Give them some compassion. Number three, offer them thoughtfulness. Be thoughtful. What I mean by that is just walk slowly through the crowd. listen to them. Listening is so important. Hear their voices, reflect, come back to things that they've said and build on it. May they look at you and realize that you aren't making decisions rashly, that you're deliberate, you're thoughtful, you're considerate. There's a grace and a maturity in that kind of leadership that gives people confidence in you. Number 4, be patient and calm. Because everybody's adjusting, and when everybody's adjusting, emotions are not very stable. And again, just like stress, when people are adjusting, they are not at their best. And what happens is during this kind of a crisis, I haven't really talked about this. Maybe I'll do this in maybe another lesson. Visual awareness of the leader and his or her conduct is huge for people. In other words, during a crisis, if the leader is calm, the people feel secure. Your demeanor, your actions as a leader, so if you're calm, if you're patient, it just sets everybody at ease. Number 5 is just offer them your best preparation. You don't have all the answers, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be looking for answers. And as a leader, you hope for the best, but what do? You prepare for the worst. And by the way, you don't prepare for the worst without hoping for the best. And you don't hope for the best without preparing. They've got to stay together. They've got to stay together. This is not either or, this is both and. Offer them continual communication. The more nervous people are, the more they want to hear your voice. Don't just talk, though. That after a while can get on anybody's nerves, even in a crisis. When you talk, ask yourself, am I sharing something that's helpful to them? Am I sharing something that perhaps I've never shared with them before? It's kind of like when I come and have these times with you, I look and say, okay, what can I give you that's new, fresh, that will maybe another insight, maybe a different perspective. Offer them, of course, be trustworthy, give them trustworthiness. People more than anything else, just more than looking for your answers as a leader, they want to trust you. When I trust a person, it doesn't mean that they always do the right thing or that they always have the right answer or they always make the right decision, but it does mean that I can count on them. They're reliable. I can lean on it. And then I would just say what I shared earlier, and that is just keep focused on today. And here's what you want to do. You want to help people get small wins, WINS. You want to help them get small wins today. If they can just get a win or two, just a win or two every day, those wins begin to compound. And after a few weeks in the crisis, they can look back and say, I've had a dozen pretty good wins here. It's not been easy. It's been uphill all the way, but just help them win a little bit, give them small wins, and then, get in the game with them and applaud them and do that. And the reason we focus on today is because you just want to take control of what you can control. Most of the stuff in this crisis and uncertainty we can't control, but just grab what you can. Okay. My name's John. I'm your friend. I hope this has helped you.